you must be one of the new members of the events team. They told me you'd be dropping by. Glad to have you. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Cutco Stevo, and I'm the Visual Displays Manager for the TGP events team. What's your name? That's a great name. Well, hey, I'm sure you're ready to get behind the booth and start slinging blades. But before you do, you gotta know how to properly set up a booth. You see, booth setup is very important, because if your booth isn't set up properly, it's gonna look like trash. That means that all the people walking around the show are gonna think that you're trash. I mean, let's be real. Which booth would you rather walk up to? One that looks like this? Or one that looks like this? Exactly. Well, hey, now that you know why a booth setup is so important, are you ready to learn? All right, you eager beaver, let's get to it. First, let's go over all the necessary equipment you'll need to properly set up your booth. Number one, you'll need your booth kit. Next up, your tables. For a traditional 10 by 10 corner setup, you're going to want 2 5-foot tables and a 6-foot table. Next, you're going to need your backdrop. And finally, you're going to want to have all your accessories. These include your cleaning supplies and trash can, also your order forms, service call sheets, and legs to prop up the tables. Oh, and don't forget your own personal Cutco kit. Set up your tables end to end. No matter if you have an inline or a corner, the 2 5-foot tables should always go across the front of your booth space. Now it's time to put on the legs. Add the PVC legs to the tables, being sure that the black tape is always at the bottom. Use the handy color-coded system to make sure that your tables are always the correct height. Now put on your tablecloth. Booth kits come equipped with special fitted tablecloths, so make sure you line up those corners. But what if I have a 6-foot cloth on a 5-foot table? Don't get your knickers in a twist. Simply fold over the excess cloth and pin in place using one of the safety pins provided in the booth kit. Now you got that tablecloth fitting like a glove. So now that you got your table set up, looking crisp, let's go ahead and set up your backdrop. Now your backdrop setup includes 3 main components. Number 1, the backdrop itself. Number 2, 4 connectable poles. Number 3, 2 telescoping backdrop stands. Now in most traditional events, you're only going to need the first 2 items. You can use the hooks provided by the show's promoter to hang the backdrop along the pipe and drape system separating each of the booths at the show. Simply connect the 4 poles together, making sure they click into place. Remember that the poles with the larger holes go on either end. That's where your hooks go. Insert the large end of the hook like so and pull through to ensure a stable hang. Before inserting your hooks, slide the pole through the top end of the backdrop and pull it all the way through. Also, try not to let the backdrop touch the ground to help keep it clean. Finally, hang your backdrop proudly by either hooking it on the pipe and drape or by using the telescoping backdrop stands. Now that we got the backdrop up, what do you say we get some Cutco on this table? Wow, this is a lot of Cutco. Probably asking, where are we going to put it all? Now every booth setup is going to be a little different, just based on your booth size, how many people you have working, and what booth you have. But the important thing is to remember to start with the foundation pieces of your booth. Those are the 3 main sets, your flatware, and your cookware. Now let's go through some of the basic rules of set positioning. Now when setting up your display, you want to pay careful attention to what will be the most eye-catching portion of your booth. That is the Cutco kitchen section. This section for a 10 by 10 corner should be on the corner facing outwards. For an inline, should be smack dab in the middle. Let me show you how it's done. Place your flatware in a prominent position and let the sparkle bring in the customers. Up next, we're going to add in our cookware pieces. Then finish it off with any other items like kitchen tools, bacon serve set, or your barbecue tools. Put on the finishing touches by filling the empty space with gadgets, accessories. Your booth is going to look poppin'. Now before we go, let me run you through a couple more best practices just to make sure that your booth setup is always looking good.
When placing sets, be sure to angle them so that they will face the customer when they're standing at the booth. You can even use a cutting board or a stack of them to give that set a little extra boost. Make sure that the back of the flatware chest is always supported to prevent damage. When placing groups of items on the table, make sure to arrange them neatly and with some level of symmetry for maximum aesthetic appeal.
Once you get your personal cutting station set up, that just about does it. You've now set up your first Cutco booth. Congratulations! Be sure to take a step outside the booth once you're done though, and see it from a customer's perspective, just to make sure that everything looks crisp and nice. When the show's over, it's time to pack everything up. Be sure to take great care of putting everything back in the bin, just to make sure it's ready to rock and roll for the next event. This includes folding tablecloths neatly, putting all the sets back into their protective covers, and following the handy step-by-step guide to make sure everything fits in its proper place inside the bin. Like seriously, it's super easy, like I put pictures on it. Now that you know the basics of how to make your booth look super sexy, it's time for you to get out there and sling some blades.